Uh, Before we begin the class, I need to notify you important notes that Dhamma provided in this presentation is simple and not Kampira or profound. People must continuously study Dhamma or else it will lead to Mahatapa Niraya or hell because it is Micchatitti, not following the Buddha's teaching. If any provided content contrasts with Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakanta, please refer to Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakanta only. Okay. And the responsibility of for Buddha Parisa, there are three roles or three responsibility. The first one is for Buddha Parisa must well understand the Tipitaka 84,000 Dhammakantaka. And the second one is for Buddha Parisa must be able to correctly present 84,000 Dhammakantaka. And the last one is the for Buddha Parisa must be able to correct those who contempt or misunderstand the Tipitaka 84,000 Dhammakantaka. Okay. Now, the topic today we'll discuss about is human civilization driven by kusala? Now I'll show you. Let's go back around 3,000 or 4,000 years back into human history. You see rise and fall of the empire or nation and the city or states. For example, like 1,500 years before Buddhist era, there was Sumerian Empire, and its peak around 1,700 years before Buddhist era, and then this empire fall. Rise of the new empire called Egyptian Empire. They come to peak around 2000 something 2000. Oh, the number is incorrect. This one is minus 2,500, and this would be for Egyptians. It would be around 1,700 years before Buddhist era, and then Egyptian Empire fall. Rise of the new empire called Minion. Its peak around 700 years, 1,400 years before Buddhist era, and then its collapse, and also Egyptian empire collapse, and then come the new empire. It become this kind of cycle again and again through our history, through our human history. And for Athens, it's around a little bit before Buddhist era, and the Rose of China is around 200 years after Buddhist era, and then Roman peak around 500, the year 500 of Buddhist era, and then collapse of Rome and Maya Empire around 1,000, the year 1,000 of Buddhist era, and then Mongol peak, Byzantine peak, and medieval peak around 1,500 years of Buddhist era, and then they fall, and then Spain peak, and British rise, Enlightenment, Industrial Revolution rise, Internet age is here. So next one. Now, if we go back around 200 years from today, there are major four countries that play a major role in human history. The first one is British Empire, and then USSR, United States, and China. You see the rise and fall of each empire. For China, you see its rise in 1880, and then China falls, and then China rise again around 2000, around 1970 until 2000 and until today. And for British Empire rise and fall, its rise around 1820, and then the British Empire is falling around 1950. And for USSR, it's rising slowly, very slowly, and now it's fall, 1990. For United States, it rise from 1820 until 1950, and then United States is falling. Now, at this point, it's very interesting. It is very interesting because two of these empires is about to crash into each other. The next one, from the last picture from this slide, I show you the rise and fall of each empire back around 200 years. And what happened during the rise and fall of each empire. You see, this chart show a bit more complicated, a bit more player. United States, China, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Spain, Germany, France, India, Japan, Russia, and Ottoman Empire. And during the rise and fall of empires, you see there are major wars happen during the period of time, rise and fall of them. Around here, you can see the major wars here, 1, 2, 3, this one pretty long one, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 major wars happen during around 500 years back of human history due to the rise and fall of empires. The next slide. Now, there come the new keyword. It's called Thucydides trap. A rising power causes fear in an established power, which escalate towards war. Through human history, there are at least 16 Thucydides trap, and during 500 years back, and only 16, and there are 16 cases, and you see there are only 4 cases that are not ending with war. The rest 12 cases are ending with war. You see, the Portugal, Spain, this one no war. France, this one war. Habsburg, Ottoman Empire, this war. Habsburg, Sweden, war. Dutch Republic, England, war. France, Great Britain, war. United Kingdom and France, war. France, United Kingdom with Russia, war. France, Germany, war. China, Russia with Japan, war. United Kingdom and United States, no war. United Kingdom and Germany, war. Soviet Union, France, UK, US, Germany, this one, war. United States, Japan, this one, war. United States and Soviet Union, no war. United Kingdom and France and Germany, no war. Only 4 incidents that end up with no war. Then the rest end up with war through our human history back only 500 years. Now, our current situation, there are 6 situations that happen right now. The first one is tech war. This one is ongoing. The second one, trade war. This one also ongoing. The third one, pandemic war. This one is over for now. The fourth one, oil price. This one is also ongoing. Oil price war. This one is ongoing. And the fifth one is currency war. This one also ongoing. And the coming one, cold and hot war. Will it happen? Will it leads to World War III, the end of the US empire, new world order, new superpower, etc., and leads to new normal. Okay, I show you just a rough idea of human history, what happened with human history that repeat again and again and again and again. Okay.
You mean that everything will if we have meet human, we have conversation together, and then everything will start okay at the first time is okay, and then it's ending with war, isn't it?
Yes, they usually have the conflict with the rise and fall of this empire due to Thucydides' effects, Thucydides' trap, as someone raised this theory, and then what I'm trying to show through this back in our human history is that this cycle is repeat again and again and again. It never disappear from our human history. It repeats not it repeats some kind of endlessly, and now we are encountering one of them. As I mentioned that now we are in the situation of rise of one empire and fallen of one empire. So that's when they come close together about to crash. So they usually happen with they usually end with war, as I showed you to see this case, 16 cases, only 4 cases that end without war. The rest of them, war. And our current situation, you can see from our current situation, it starts from tech war, this one ongoing. The second one, trade war, this one is ongoing. A pandemic war, this one is over for now. And the fourth one is oil price war, this one ongoing. And currency war, this one also ongoing. And the coming one, hopefully it's not come, but I'm not sure. A cold and hot war, will it come? Will it coming soon? We don't know. Okay.
War come because of we are human.
For human history, it's implied that we usually repeat ourselves in this cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to explain the situation that happen in our daily life by using Dhamma, there are 2 major steps. The first step is to recite Citta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28, because we will use Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa to explain situation and everything that happens in our life. The second one, we must be able to identify the communication language and Dhamma language, the different. Once we able to identify communication language and Dhamma language, then we will be able to start with the first step to going into Dhamma, and then when go into detail of the Dhamma, we go back to explain everything by Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. That is the beginning of using Dhamma to explain everything in our daily lives. And today we are going to use Dhamma to explain human history, those cycles that we see that I mentioned in the beginning. Consider this case that at least 16 cases in 500 years back in human history is some kind of it seems that it's kind of repeating itself again and again and again. Okay, and now we will use Dhamma to explain why this kind of cycle is happening. Dhamma, what Dhamma, if we want to explain this situation by Dhamma, how can we explain it? And to begin to explain our situation by using Dhamma, we need two simple steps. The first one, to be able to recite Citta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28. And the second step is to be able to identify communication language and Dhamma language. Let's start from Citta 121. You all might have already familiar with it, with this one. Citta 121 can be categorized in 4 groups. The first one is Kama Vajra Citta 54. The second one is Rupa Vajra Citta 15. The third one is Arupa Vajra Citta 12. And the last one, the fourth one, is Lokuttara Citta 40. It's altogether Citta 121. Now, Cetasika 52. Cetasika 52 categorized into 3 groups. The first one is Anyasamana Cetasika 13. The second one is Akulsala Cetasika 14. And the third one is Sopana Cetasika 25. Altogether 52. The last one, Rupa 28, grouped into 2 groups. The first one is Mahabhuta Rupa 4. The second one is Upadhyaya Rupa 24. Altogether 28. Yeah. Those I mentioned are Citta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28. That is the first step that need for us to when we want to use Dhamma to explain our daily life, we need to recite Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. The second one that I mentioned before, we need to be able to differentiate communication language and Dhamma language. For communication language, is the language that we use for communication in our daily life, like English, German, India, Sri Lanka, Thai, Myanmar, Cambodia, etc. And then to go from communication language to Dhamma language, first we need to translate our communication language into Makatha language. And then from Makatha language, with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, when Gautama Buddha enlightenment, the Gautama Buddha redefined Makatha language into Dhamma language. This is how we enter Dhamma language through Makatha language. So when we translate our communication language by dictionary into Makatha language, then we refer the Makatha language to the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, which the word in Makatha language is redefined. And then with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha and the redefined of Gautama Buddha, that Makatha language will become Dhamma language. And we use Dhamma language to study Dhamma or Sikkha Dhamma. Okay. These 2 steps that very important to Sikkha Dhamma or study Dhamma, to explain everything in our daily lives. These 2 steps is very, very, very important. First, familiar with Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. The second one, identified communication language and Dhamma language. Now I will show you how. Okay.
In this slide, no, maybe some person think about that if we can recite Cetasika and Rupa, no, we reach Dhamma language. That is true or not?
That
only
is,
we can recite. Only we can recite.
That is the beginning. The beginning to enter Dhamma language. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, and usually I begins with the slides, that Dhamma is very Kampira or profound. You must continuously study it, because to to study Dhamma, we cannot explain the most elaborate things at the beginning, because you need some of the foundation before you reach more profound or Kampira Dhamma. That's why when we explain Dhamma from the beginners, we try to simplify Dhamma into quite an easy one for the beginner to understand. But actually, if in Kampira or in profound Dhamma, it might not work that way. But the things that we try to simplify is not the one that incorrect, but you need to continuously and following us, because for the more profound, we will explain. The more you understand, the more profound of Dhamma we can explain to you, and the more Kampira of Dhamma will be elaborate and explain to you in a very every details will be explained, but in every detail cannot be explained for the beginners, because the beginners they are not familiar with the words and the components and the structure and the activities that each components interact with interact together.
You mean that Gautama Buddha borrow human language in order to explain and lead us to Dhamma language, which human language we use the phrase, no, use eye, use ear, and use mouth, tongue, okay, our body to express our emotion or our need, no. Then Gautama Buddha borrow Marathi or English or Thai or Hindi in order to lead us from human language, then go through deep in Chavana Citta by using human language to Dhamma language in our Chavana Citta, isn't it?
For simple understanding, every communication language need to translate into Makatha language before entering Dhamma language. Makatha language will be only one door to enter Dhamma language, because Gautama Buddha mentioned that to study Dhamma, you need to explain Dhamma. We need to explain Dhamma by using Makatha language, and to explain and study Dhamma or Sikkha, the language that used must be Makatha language. That's why Makatha language is the only door to enter Dhamma language. Therefore, that's why in these slides we show that every communication language need to translate to Makatha language first before entering Dhamma language.
Okay.
Of the keyword, and that's important one. So let's go next. Okay, next Citta. Now, as I explained before, now we are trying to explain Thucydides' trap with Dhamma and the situation that happened today with Dhamma. Let's begin from Citta 121. This one you have already familiar with it. How about this one? Citta, not all of Citta that stays in Chavana Citta. And Chavana Citta that Piping mentioned before, Chavana Citta works like a design unit. Before send us into our Bhumi, before we born in each Bhumi, our body, our mind, our place to live, and our food are designed in Chawana Chitta. So Chitta 121, not all of them that stays in Chawana Chitta. There are only Kama Chawana Chitta 29 and Appana Chawana Chitta 58 that stays in Chawana Chitta. Okay, for Kam Chawana Chitta 29 from Kama Vajra Chitta 54, only 29 that stays in Chawana Chitta, and these 29 we call Kam Chawana Chitta. These 29 are composed of Akusala Chitta 12, with consisting of Lopa Mula Chitta 8, Tosa Mula Chitta 2, and Moha Mula Chitta 2. And Ahetuka Chitta 18 out of Chitta. Ahetuka Chitta 18, there is only one Ahetuka Chitta that stays in Chawana Chitta, which is Somana Sasakatang Hasitupatha Chittang Asankharikang Kama Vajra Ahetuka Kiriya Chittang. This is the only one of Ahetuka Chitta that stays in Chawana Chitta. And the third group is Kama Vajra Sopana Chitta. This one, Kama Vajra Sopana Chitta 24, that there are only 16 that stays in Kama Chawana, that stays in Chawana Chitta. The first one is Kama Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 8, and the second one is Kama Vajra Mahakriya Chitta 8. For another group that stays in Chawana Chitta, we call it Appana Chawana Chitta 58. From this group, Rupa Vajra Chitta 15, only 10 of them stays in Chawana Chitta. The first one is Rupa Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 5, and the second one is Rupa Vajra Mahakiriya Chitta 5. For Arupa Vajra Chitta 12, only 8 of 12 stays in Chawana Chitta. The first one is Arupa Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 4, and the second one is Arupa Vajra Mahakiriya Chitta 4. And the last group is Lokuttara Chitta 40. This group stays in Chawana Chitta. All of them, all of 40 Chitta under this group stays in Chawana Chitta. Okay, so Chitta that stays in Chawana Chitta, or I'm comparing for it for easy to understand, like a design unit before you go to born in each Bhumi. This one will design your body, your mind, your place to live, and your food before you born in each Bhumi. And there are only Kam Chawana Chitta 29 and Appana Chawana Chitta 58 that stays in Chawana Chitta.
Vikan, do we have all together we have, like me, I have Kam Chawana Chit 29 and I have Appana Chawana Chit 58 together in only myself, isn't it? Can have all two parts?
Altogether, they stays in Chawana Chitta. Altogether is 29 plus 58. So
I have it. I have all in Chawana Chitta, no?
Well, for the green one,
yeah,
you need to Sikkha or study Dhamma. Otherwise, the green one is not exist.
Oh, the green one is in Kama Chawana Chitta and in Appana Chawana Chitta.
Correct.
Will be create in our Chawana Chitta when after we Sikkha only.
Will activate.
Will activate. We already have, but not activate.
When we get the correct Dhamma from
Yeah.
Gautama Buddha. Otherwise, only Akusala Chitta 12 that
Activate.
works automatically with our daily lives. Okay.
Oh, since we born, only 12 akusala citta activate all the time.
Yes.
Because since I was young, I did not Sikkha Kotama Puttha Dhamma. So I start with akusala citta since I was in the pregnant, no? My mother pregnant. I still have akusala citta. And last hour I did not isolate, so I still on akusala citta. And last 2 hours I have dinner, so I still on akusala citta also, isn't it?
Correct. Because like I mentioned before, that if I compare Chavana Chitta like a design unit, it designs yourself, your body, your mind, your place to live, and your food. And the condition of the Kusala one, Kusala is the green one, those green one, will activate only with the correct Dhamma from Gautama Buddha, otherwise only the red one. And the red one that works automatically with Kusala Chitta 12, we activated ourselves without the teaching of Gautama Buddha. That's why this one is a cause that make human history repeating itself, because it is those history that repeating itself of the human is the result of the Kusala Chitta 12 work. I'll explain in more details in this presentation how Kusala Chitta 12 that stays in Chavana Chitta or design unit has the effects to our daily life, our body, our mind, our place to live, and our food. That is the cause that also showing into the history of human. That's why it happened. It's usually end up with war. Okay,
because 24 hours of our life is praying on akusala citta. So everything's come ending with war, with angry.
Yes, it caused by Akusala Chitta 12 from Chavana Chitta. And then after Akusala Chitta 12, they work with others Chitta and Cetasika in Chavana Chitta. And then they send results out of Chavana Chitta and send to us and control our body, our mind, our place to live, and control our food. That's why Chitta in Chavana Chitta, once they work together and then send the results out of Chavana Chitta, this one cause everything that happen in our daily lives.
You mean that akusala citta by akusala citta itself cannot create any problem, but when citta work with cetasika, it create some problem. It can come out from Chavana Chitta and create many things in our daily lives, create war and create hate and create the problem.
Right, correct.
Okay. And how about how can we use akusala citta outside, and how can we use kusala citta which is in the Chavana Chitta come outside too, in order to make the world peace? How can we done that?
Okay, I will show you a bit more in the slide. There'll be a bit more details of where Kusala results from Chavana Chitta.
Sikkha.
Yes, sent out of Shavana Chitta and how it works with our daily life. Kusala. Okay, let's next one.
Wait, from this slide, I want to emphasize everybody about you will see the Chavana Chitta, which Chitta in Chavana Chitta is will be Kusala Chitta and Akusala Chitta, and then will be Kiriya Chitta. You will see it did not have Vipaka Chitta. Vipaka Chitta is outside Chavana Chitta. Okay. Then Appana Chavana Chitta is the same. Vipaka Chitta is outside Chavana Chitta. Vipaka Chitta, it seems like the output of what the factory of Chavana Chitta produce. Then output is Vipaka Chitta, which is outside the Chavana Chitta. Okay. Let's go.
Okay. Now, as Piping mentioned, the beginning of Kamma is in Chavana Chitta. Chitta itself, when Chitta is Paramattha, it's not working with, it's not create Rupa. It's only stay idle. You don't move anything, it don't do anything, it just stays idle, stand still like that, when it's Chitta is Paramattha. However, there is Paticca Samuppada or Hetu that works with Chitta and Cetasika that create Kamma. Paticca Samuppada go to Cetasika Paramattha, which also idle, stay still, do not move, do not work with Chitta, do not create Rupa. And Chitta by itself, when it is a Chitta Paramattha, it stays still, it don't move, it don't interact with Cetasika, and it don't create Rupa. However, there is Paticca Samuppada or Hetu that works with Cetasika, that makes Cetasika interact with Chitta. And then once Chitta and Cetasika interact together, then they create Rupa. And in this case, for Paticca Samuppada interact with Chitta, it creates Kamma. Okay. This is the beginning of our Bhumi and our endless cyclic of existence. Okay. From Hetu or Hetu, there are three groups of Hetu. The first one is Kusala Hetu. The second one is Kusala Hetu. And the third one is Apayakata Hetu. In Akusala Hetu, there are three Hetu. The first one is Lopa Hetu. The second one is Tosa Hetu. The last one is Moha Hetu. For Kusala Hetu, there are three Hetu. The first one is Alopa Hetu. The second one is Atosa Hetu. The third one is Amoha Hetu. The last one is Apayakata Hetu. This one also have Alopa Hetu, Atosa Hetu, and Amoha Hetu. But these three Hetu are in Vipaka. Okay. Next one. Next one. This one, I simply explain how Chavana Chitta interact with Chitta outside Chavana Chitta and create our body, our minds, our place to live, and our food. And altogether, this create our civilization and our society, like I explained before. Go back, no matter how long. For the example that I show you, we go back around 5,000 years, and our recently case, we go back only 500 years. And those situations created by Kamma Shrupa, Chitta Shrupa, Utu Shrupa, and Ahara Shrupa, which which all of these are the results of things that decide and assign from Chavana Chitta. And when they decide what will happen with our body, our mind, our place to live, and our food, the result will be sent out of Chavana Chitta. Okay. Let's me simplify this picture. This picture is very simplified for the beginner. However, it seems a bit difficult anyway, but this is the most simple form to explain the interaction of Chitta that stays inside Chavana Chitta and outside Chavana Chitta. And the order that I place Chitta in this diagram is for the beginners to understand it. For more profound or more Kampira, each of Chitta might not locate as simple as shown on this slide, but this slide is for the beginner, for the beginner to imagine where Chitta stays inside Chavana Chitta and outside Chavana Chitta. Okay, as I mentioned before, that Chavana Chitta consisting of two main groups. The first one is Chavana Chitta 29, and the second one is Apana Chavana Chitta 58. Altogether 87 Chitta here in Chavana Chitta. And we also mentioned before that Chitta altogether we have 121. So where are the rest of Chitta out of 87 Chitta that stays in Chavana Chitta? For this one, it's not a complete picture. It's only one part of Chitta that stays outside Chavana Chitta. If you summarize all of number of Chitta that I show in this picture, in this diagram from this side, and 87 in Chavana Chitta altogether will not equal 121, because there are certain parts that I intentionally omit, intentionally to not mention it on this slide, because it will be more complicated, it will confuse you a bit more. So let's begin. For outside outside Chavana Chitta, that exists of Akusala Chitta, Akusala Vipaka Chitta 8, and Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8. In case,
8.
yes, Akusala Vipaka Chitta 7 and Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8. And in case that you can recite Ahetuka Chitta, Ahetuka Chitta, they have altogether 18 Ahetuka Chitta. The first group is Akusala Vipaka Chitta 7. The second one is Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8. And the third one is Ahetuka Kriya Chitta 3. And those Ahetuka Chitta are Chitta that connect outside outside Chavana Chitta with inside Chavana Chitta. You see, for Ahetuka Chitta 18, all of three groups, almost all of three groups stay outside of Chavana Chitta. Akusala Vipaka Chitta 7 stay outside Chavana Chitta. Ahetuka Chitta, Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8 stay outside Chavana Chitta, the whole group. And for Ahetuka Kriya Chitta 3, partially outside of Chavana Chitta. Only 2 out of 3 stay outside of Chavana Chitta. For Ahetuka Kriya Chitta that stays outside Chavana Chitta, only 2. The first one is Panchathawara Vachana Chitta, and the second one is Manothawara Vachana Chitta. And inside Chavana Chitta is Hasitupata Chitta, as I mentioned before. The information when Chitta that stays inside Chavana Chitta interact together with Cetasik that stay inside Chavana Chitta, then they send information to Hasitupata Chitta before sent out of Chavana Chitta. Hasitupatha Chitta will be will comparing like a gate of Shavana Chitta. To enter and exit from Shavana Chitta, you must enter and exit through Hasitupatha Chitta. And for the outside Shavana Chitta, the one that also work like a gate, because to enter and leave to enter Javana Chitta and to receive information from Javana Chitta needs to pass through Manothawara Vasana Chitta only. And from Manothawara Vasana Chitta, for easy understanding, it sent information to Panchatawara Vasana Chitta. And then Panchatawara Vasana Chitta sent information to Akusala Vipaka Chitta 7 and Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8. This diagram for easy understanding. I need to mention this because in more profound or in more details, these chitta will not stay as simple as shown in this diagram. And for Akusala Vipaka Chitta 7, in case you can recite it, you can recognize that there are Chakku, Sota, Khana, Shivha, Kaya, that works with our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our body. And also, Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8, they have 5 chitta that works with our Chakku, Sota, Khana, Shivha, Kaya, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, our body. Altogether, 5 of Akusala Vipaka Chitta and 5 from Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta. Altogether, we call it Tavi Pancha Vinyan 10. And once the information sent out from Shavana Chitta to Manothawara Vachana Chitta and sent to Panchatawara Vachana Chitta, and then this information sent out to Kusala Vipaka Chitta 7 and Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka Chitta 8, and altogether they create our body or Kama Sharupa, our mind or Chitta Sharupa, our place to live and our accessories Utu Sharupa, and our food or Ahara Sharupa. And this, our body, our mind, our place to live, and our accessories and our food, this combined together that creates everything in our daily lives. And also these things create our civilization, and that's why it's the results, it's the cause of what happened with repeating history of human. And let's go a bit, let's show a bit simplified. Chit work with Chetasika, create Rupa. Chitta work with Chetasika within Shavana Chitta, and then create Rupa that stays in Shavana Chitta. However, the information sent out from Shavana Chitta to create Kamashrupa, 18 Chitta Shrupa, 15 Utu Shrupa, 13 Ahara Shrupa, 12 or our body, our mind, our place to live, and accessories and food, that these things that we use in our daily lives create from Chitta and Cetasika. Okay, and let's go back to the picture, the stories that I mentioned before. This one. Okay, this one. You see the rise and fall of the empire. And during the rise and fall of the empire, there's usually a war. Why it happened? The happening, those war happened because in Chavanachitta or in our design unit, without the teaching of Gotama Buddha or without the Sikkha Dhamma, only Akusala Chitta 12 activate. And the results of Akusala Chitta 12 will lead to our body, our mind, our place to live, our food. That's why war happens time to time through human history because Akusala Citta 12 work in Chavana Citta. And without the correct teaching of Gautama Buddha, there are only Akusala Citta 12 that work in our Chavana Citta. And Akusala Citta 12 send information out that create our body, create our mind, create our Utushrupa, and create our Ahara Shrupa. That's also create the situation that we encountering in in our present time, that it leads to tech war, trade war, pandemic war, which over for now, oil price war, currency war, cold and hot war incoming, maybe. So these are the results of a work of Citta in our Shavana Citta. Until now, you might be able to see the linkage between Dhamma and our daily lives, and also to prevent tech war, which is ongoing, to prevent trade war, which is also ongoing, the future pandemic war, prevent oil price war to affect us, currency war that might affect us. We need to Sikkha Dhamma because the things that we need to correct or control or to correct or control before it send information out, that we need to correct or control our Kusala Citta 12 before the information sent out from Chavana Citta. And to control Akusala Citta 12, there is only one way to control them. To control Akusala Citta 12 is through Sikkaya or study Dhamma only. There is only way. That's why it's very important for us to Sikkha Dhamma, and to Sikkha Dhamma is very important that you need to recite Citta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28, and then be able to identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. Okay, that would be things that I want to discuss in this class to show you the situation that happened in our daily lives and the linkage, the cause that happened, the situation that happened in our daily life had cause in Dhamma, in Chavana Citta, and everything that happens in our daily life based on the activity of Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. Ping, do you have any more?
You mean that for our world, our Uttu Charupa seem like the car, television, and atmosphere, and for the earth, for oxygen, all things come from ourselves, come from our citta to create it, isn't it?
Correct. Correct.
Only Manusa can create, or only you and I, or only Manusa, or other thing can create that Uttu Charupa.
All 31 Bhumi create Kamma Shrupa, Citta Shrupa, Uttu Shrupa, Ahara Shrupa. However, for Kamma Shrupa, Citta Shrupa, Uttu Shrupa, and Ahara Shrupa in each Bhumi differently. Yes, it's different.
Like ourselves, Manusa, we have a home like this, like brick home, no? But for the animal, they have tree as their home, or something insect they have only whole as their home. Okay. And then all 31 Bhumi also created Uttu Charupa. And for Ahan Charupa, only you and I, or also 31.
31 Bhumi, the
Yeah.
same.
But
I mean,
you
Charupa.
Manusa, but Manusa, Ahara Charupa for Manusa is not the same as Ahan for animal and for Peta. Oh, I wonder one thing. Like in for Chinese person, no, they also have pay respect to something that they did not see nor before. Like they อะไรนะไหว้เจ้าอ่ะ what to say, they pay respect to like spirit. Spiritual, no? Then they have food, can preta eat food like that, because we only put there and pay respect, and then we put the food to eat. Can how many Phum that have Ahan Charupa like that for eat?
31 Bhumi, they have their Ahara Charupa. However, Ahara Charupa different from each Bhumi. As we are human, we see only an animal. Animal has food that different from human. And also the rest of 31 Bhumi, they also have their Ahara Charupa. And their Ahara Charupa is different from ours.
So you mean that
survive in that Bhumi.
Oh, so do you mean that like something that my father can father passed away, my father can eat what I pay respect for the food, and I use something likeอะไรนะ candle or something like, and pay respect to the food, and then I think that my father can eat that food that I sent.
Well, according to this chart,
Yep.
each Bhumi has their own Ahara Charupa, which might not be the same. Okay, so in each Bhumi, when you pass away from human, we are not sure where the next Bhumi you will be born. However, in that Bhumi, you need Ahara Charupa to survive.
Yep.
So to survive in that Bhumi is you need Ahara Charupa in that Bhumi. And Ahara Charupa in that Bhumi is designed to compatible with your body in that Bhumi, your mind and your place to live in that Bhumi. And these four categories, Kama Charupa, Chitta Charupa, Uttu Charupa, Ahara Charupa, are created from Chavana Chitta before sent out, before you going to born in that Bhumi. So for the food compatibility of different Bhumi, it depends.
So if father pass away, we cannot send the food from our Bhumi to another Bhumi, but we can only send Kusala from our Bhumi sent to other Bhumi by praying Tilo Kutta Peta Vatu.
Yes. And in the future we'll have more details. How can we send Kusala from our Bhumi to different Bhumi? Because those Bhumi might not stay in the same location. And when they don't stay in the same location, what will be the things that separate each Bhumi? And when we want to give kusala to different bhumi, how can we send it out, and what is the pathway that we should we need for sending those kusala to different bhumi? That is another big story.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to know the pathway. We need to know the condition. We need to know the location of those bhumi, and those things are explained in details by Gautama Buddha. For Sikkha, if you continuously Sikkha Dhamma, we will explain about the things that we have just mentioned, about the pathway, about the location of the bhumi, where are they located, and how can we send kusala from our bhumi through this kind of chart through different bhumi. It's another fascinating
interesting topic.
A very fascinating
Yeah.
system that we didn't expect it. It happened that way. It works that way. It's another long story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone have any question or?
Okay. That would...
Sankhamita, do you have any question?
Okay.
Okay, vậy. Sankhamita.
Yes, in middle, due to network issue, I missed some topic, but I have learned no questions. Just know about this respected sir told about how we should be, means about the chitta and 5 types, chitta, virupa, then ahara, uttaja, that one. So I know. But in middle, I missed something. That's why couldn't get it.
Okay.
Okay. So the summarize.
Okay. That will be end of this class. We show you the case to explain our daily lives and human history through Dhamma. That we will try to show you that actually Dhamma can explain anything that happened in our daily lives and also human history. But to explain it, we will go back. We will always go back to the work of Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. That's why we cannot translate it by using dictionary. We have to use our communication language, go back to Dhamma language, and then use Dhamma language to understand the components and the interaction and the things that Citta and Cetasika that works together and create our whatever happened in our daily lives. And it's not only can explain what happened, but actually it can control and change what has already happened in our daily lives. For more details, how to control and how to change things, that will be explained to you through Sikkha in the future. For you need to continuously Sikkha, as I mentioned at the beginning of the class. Some of the Dhamma are simplified for you to understand for the beginners, but in the future, in more details, they might work differently. They might stay in different location. They might have different characteristics, but that is the details of the Dhamma, and that's why Dhamma can explain everything. Anything that happened in our daily lives can, also stays in Dhamma. Okay, that will be end of this class. Until we see you again. Next class will be another Dhammacharya to teach you more Dhamma, more fantastic topic. บอกธรรมะโอเค
Yeah.
โอเคสาธุครับ
สาธุค่ะ any question เนาะ
สาธุ
no question we can okay สาธุนมัสการอาเย
Sadhu, sadhu.
อาเย still there
I think Aya is not here because Bante
Oh.
Mahachalong come to visit our temple. So I think we
Oh.
just go to meet him.
Oh, very good, no? Okay, so see everybody next class, no? In next Saturday. Okay, sadhu everyone. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu Navuti
Upanidhi Panta Anumothami. Sadhu ka.
สาธุค่ะ